you. That was much better than last time. I'm glad you were ready for it. I know that I am very, very excited about this next panel, and I'm sure lots of you. How many of you have strong childhood memories of this? I'm sure we are all excited to see what's going to be happening with this. And with that, I definitely want us to get right to it, and I might just leave this out here just in case we still need it. But at this point, it is my pleasure to bring out the moderator for the Dark Crystal panel. Please welcome TV Guide's Damien Holbrook.
No, hello, how are you? Now this is just a prop. Okay, so you guys have no idea how happy I am to have found a room full of people who remember this movie the way I remember it. So like, because I was like, I don't know what kind of crowd this is going to be, and I was like, oh no, it's just my people. So I will say, I've seen it. And let me tell you, everything that you remember about it is there. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait for you guys to hear what they have to say about this. So first, we're going to go and look at the teaser trailer one more time, and then I'll bring out our panel. Netflix, is it working? No? Yes? All right, there we go. All right. Yes, Netflix is bringing Skeksis back. And it is, you guys, I'm so excited, right? So let's bring out our team. First, we've got Lisa Henson. Mr. Louis Leterrier. Taryn Egerton. And an up-and-coming star named Mark Hamill.
I'm going to play it cool. I'm going to keep playing it cool.
So, I think they're a little excited about this. I think you've got some people, I think people are on board for this project. Taryn, you actually have a very deep childhood connection to this film, correct?
Yeah, I must have watched the original movie for the first time when I was 6 or 7. My father showed me it, and I just thought it was enchanting and completely unlike anything else. I still feel that way about it. So when I was offered the opportunity to do this, I bit Louis' hand off, and it's been an amazing experience. And as you can see, it's looking quite good, I think. So.
Yeah. And now, Mark, for you, how is it joining this idea and bringing the scientists back to us?
And I think that was Steve Whitmire in the original, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, I'm like Taryn. I mean, I took my kids to see it, and what I loved about it was how daring and dark it was, you know, as opposed to the other projects that were associated with the Muppets. And it's really coming into its own. It's like Return to Oz, which was criticized as being too dark for children, and over the years has really gained a real following. So I have to tell you that the last time I saw Gary Kurtz, before he passed away, I told him I was doing this, and he had read the script and really gave his seal of approval. He said the script for Age of Resistance is really, really good. And he was right. It was just great writing. So that's what you look for. I do anyway. You know, I don't care so much about all the trappings and the salary and the billing and so forth. My agent will kill me for saying it. But you look for projects that are a challenge and look for something that you'd like to see. And this was definitely fell into that category. I can't wait to see it.
So you mentioned it, and I'm sure a lot of us in the room grew up with the idea of what Muppets were, and then we saw this? How many of you were kind of like very thrown by what we saw the first time you saw the Dark Crystal? This was a crazy, crazy world we were introduced to. Taryn, what was the thing that you said it was enchanting? What was it that you connected with?
I think tonally it's just unlike anything else. As Mark said, one of the things that I loved about it was that it kind of frightened me a little bit. There's something a bit edgy and a bit kind of freaky about it, and I still search for that in horror and things now, but I remember that feeling of just being a little bit on the edge of my seat as a kid, and I love that about it.
All right, well, Louis and Lisa, I have a bunch of questions for you. So many questions. But first, I have something for you guys. This is brand new. This is a world premiere. No one in the world has seen this other than you guys. So keep it between us. This is a making of the Dark Crystal trailer that we're going to run, and you guys.
So I play a Gelfling. Always wanted to say that. I play a Gelfling called Rian, who basically lives as part of a community of Gelfling who are living in sort of service to the Skeksis, and at the start of the story aren't entirely aware of their true nature, and through something horrifying that happens in the first episode, it sets off a chain of events which leads him to realise their true nature. He sees that they are... Am I allowed to say that, Lisa? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot that's embargoed. He sees them draining the essence of a Gelfling, and it's how they're prolonging their life, and he sets out on this quest to try and make his fellow Gelfling aware. So that's where he is at the start of the story. My character, his arc is, it's a real kind of coming of age, cometh the hour, cometh the man type of thing. Yeah.
And he's joined by two friends?
Yes, two friends. Well, he meets them on the course of the story. Do you mean Gurjin?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gurjin, his best friend, who, to begin with, they sort of separated, but yeah. I mean, there are so many characters involved and so many different threads and stories. It's a really fully realized, expansive world.
And Mark, what can you tell us about this scientist? Because these are not good people. They're not even people, but they're just not good.
Yeah, I don't know how it happened, but somewhere between when I first played a certain berserk clown, I become typecast as a villain in voiceover. And it's funny because my agent was really disappointed, and she said, "Oh, I wish you'd gotten Alfred." I said, "On Batman, you wish I'd got Alfred? Well, what are you talking about?" She goes, "Well, he's in every episode." You know. But listen, one thing I love about voiceover is because you can't be seen, you're liberated to make really bold choices you probably wouldn't make if the camera was on you. So, like I say, I was just a Muppet fanatic. The minute I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show, they were just one of my favorite things in the world. And, you know, one of my career highlights to this day is being on the Muppet Show, the Star Wars episode. And, you know, I have to tell you, because your dad, we went over to meet, you know, Frank was already working on Empire, and he's just an incredible person, and we bonded instantly. You know, you meet certain people, we feel like we've been friends our whole life. But I went over to meet the writers and the cast members and so forth. And these are people I've known for 30 years. Richard Hunt became so much a regular in my house, my kids called him Uncle Richard. But when I was first meeting them, Jim Henson said to me, "So Mark, is there something that you feel like you like to do on the show, whether you sing or you..." I said, well, you know, I've been known to do some impression. Said, "Oh, great, who do you do?" That's in the show. Because I say to Kermit, "Yay!" I do whatever my Kermit impression was. And he goes, "Great, who do you do?" And I didn't know him that well at the time, but he was just such a genuine and sincere person. he wasn't trying to make a joke at all. But, so like to be able to do things that you loved as a kid for a living, I'm the luckiest person in the world. Because when I was a kid, I kept thinking, what age limit do you reach when you stop liking comic books or stop liking the Three Stooges or Laurel and Hardy? Is there like a limit? Because I looked at my dad, he didn't like any of those things. And, so I'm so grateful because I still love all things I loved as a kid, including the Muppets and like I never thought it would come back, when I saw the original. Funny how, you would never dream that you'd go back to something that you were known for so long before. I want to ask, like when I meet the cast of Will and Grace, I'm going to ask them that question. Or when I, meet the cast of Veronica Mars. Was it weird coming back after all these years, when you didn't expect to ever come back? This is all like found couch money. Or when you pull out an old pair of pants you haven't worn in like 15 years and find $20 bill in the pocket, it's much more valuable than $20 because you didn't know you had it. So that's what this is like. And it was just a joy working with Louis. He's so easygoing and he knows what he wants, but lets you get there yourself. I don't know about you, but it's exhausting to do that voice. Because it's not as difficult as when you're dubbing to lip flaps because it's not that specific, but you do what you call presence passes. Because you do 4-hour sessions and they don't go over even a minute because then they have to give you a bump. They don't want to do that. So always 4 hours, but after, so you're doing take after take after take after take. And in speaking in that voice, I mean, like Joker, you have to really pace yourself and warm up and so forth, so you don't strip your gears like starting your car in the snow. And then when we'd finish the scene, he'd say, okay, let's do a presence pass. And what you do is you look at the footage and put in like efforts and walking sounds. But through the whole scene, breathing, this and all that stuff. And after like a solid hour of that, you're getting lightheaded. Who needs drugs? Just do a presence pass. It's almost like, and it's legal, so. Hey!
I do want to point out that only at Comic-Con do you get Mark Hamill impersonating Kermit the Frog in front of Jim Henson's daughter. And then also...
No extra charge.
Skywalker is sitting next to Rocket Man.
Yes!
So if anyone ever tells you that Comic-Con is for losers, hello! Alright, Lisa, how is it being back in Thra 37 years later? Because you were on set for the original when you were a film student, right?
I wasn't a film student, I was a folklore student.
Oh,
but I was a...
That pays so much better.
I was a PA in pre-production, so I was watching the creature shop, building everything, and that was exciting in its own way. They did... everything was being innovated for the first time. All the animatronics were being essentially invented. All the techniques were everything was brand new. And so, what we saw back then was months, if not years, of just R&D and planning and designing. And the world got built before the movie was written or fully imagined. And that has all paid off for us because it was a fully realized world. And we wanted to go back to that world. We felt Thra had a past, a present, and a future. And it's been, so inviting to us to kind of explore what it was before the movie. So we have a prequel here.
How much was already in storage?
A lot was in storage. Yeah, and a lot of the puppets can be seen in museums. So we have in New York at the Museum of the Moving Image and Atlanta Center for Puppetry Arts, they have beautifully preserved puppets. We actually started the puppet building process copying a few of the old puppets, just kind of get everybody warmed up, and then they started building new characters. We have vast majority of the characters are new, but we kind of got going by by copying. Same thing on the sets, you know, it started with copying the Crystal Chamber, and then they went out from there.
All the details of the hi, I'm Louis. I'm the director.
Director of every episode, correct? Directed every episode.
Bringing it back to there's one thing. So we copied there's a lot of details, little jokes that they had on the original movie. You know, because you know it's a one big family. And the scientist, the electronic eye of the scientist is in fact the TIE fighter. And inside this TIE fighter, there's Darth Vader in the original one, and also in this one. So, yeah.
I've heard of Betty Davis eyes, never heard of TIE Fighter eyes.
So Mark,
That was just like a little fact I didn't find out until recently.
yeah, exactly. I told
It's
you.
amazing what you learn on Twitter.
So, dealing with all practical puppetry, was it ever a consideration to go with CGI completely? Because you do have like some CGI enhancements, but you're dealing with primary, you know, these are puppets, and this is a whole bunch of puppeteers.
It is a Dark Crystal. It is the most important puppet movie of all time. We couldn't go back and be like, let's go
Right.
CG and everything. So it was puppet. It was always puppet. I mean, actually, thanks to Netflix, it was always puppets. Ted Biselli, Cindy Holland, everybody at Netflix said, you guys are not going to do Dark Crystal without puppets. So thank you, Netflix.
Because, right, that was what was so captivating about watching the first episode was it's all the puppets. Like, you see all of the work on screen. What are the particular challenges? Because you do have to stage sequences that would require, like, a bunch of human extras, but you've got puppets.
Every shot is the most complicated shot of my career. Like, every shot is a nightmare. But it's amazing, because it's like, you know, it's a little, you know, small victory. And I must say, the true hero, thank you, the puppeteers are, you know, we never see them, we never hear about them. Thank you, puppeteers, you guys are...
My puppeteer was Ollie Taylor. In the first couple of sessions, I said, who's the guy doing this like this? It was Ollie Taylor, and I loved his vocal performance. And,
Why do I...
yeah, why is this guy is great. But I did that. I mean, I never talked about it, but since Tim Curry mentioned it himself, when they replaced him for Joker, and there were 5 episodes I had to dub after the fact before starting doing new ones, and I'm listening to the first session, I went, he's great! He's such a good Joker. My agent said, you didn't tell him that, did you? I said, yeah. Nice work, moron. Talk yourself out of a job. But I thought that about Ollie and all the puppeteers. They're so expressive. It's such a skill set, you know. Again, like, you feel like puppeteers sort of marginalize them in a way they don't deserve. I feel that about voiceover actors, you know, because they're really, the core thing is they're really good actors. And of course, you'll see it when you see the show.
And in fact, so Karen, there's a scene in the first episode where your character's face, the emotion that is etched on this face matched with your voice, and the face is heartbreaking. And I'm like, I know intellectually I'm looking at a puppet, but I'm feeling all these emotions and sympathy for him. How was it for you preparing to do the voiceover and finding his voice?
I think, you know, as these guys have said, you know, the amount of craft that goes into the making of the puppets, the artistry of creating those features, and then the guys who operate them. You know, we arrive and it's there. You know, it's inspiring in itself. So, what the work that everyone else has done kind of feeds your performance. Really, it's I mean, it kind of almost feels, you know, I suppose we're here with the faces a bit promoting it, but we really are just the top layer of a very tall cake. Lots of people who work very, very hard.
And your sets, how were your sets built? Were they above for the puppeteers to stand?
Yeah, it's kind of like, imagine this, it's 4 foot tall of the floor, so, and then we open it and we create path for the puppeteers, close it, but everything from a forest to a room to, it's really, again, like very complicated, and you see a little bit on that, on those clips that we just saw, but, you know, you will get to see a little bit more. There's a documentary that will come after our show, explaining how we did it, how we pulled it off, and it's interesting.
And Lisa, why now? Why is this the right time? Because there are certain things in this story that are very timely, including an entire community that's been gaslit. And why now? And what did you think about your father called this like his greatest achievement and his greatest challenge? So how daunting is that?
This is the thing that I'm most proud of that we've done, since my siblings and myself have been running the company. It was a very special project, very, very close to his heart. And he found it to be the biggest challenge and most personal film. So for us to go and try to approach the work that he and Frank Oz and Ryan Frau did, we had trepidation, but it's tremendously ambitious. And everybody who came to it was in love with the original movie. We have so many tremendous fans of the original movie. Like it came from. It was developed through great respect and love of the original. So ultimately, we were not afraid to do it, but it was a lot to achieve, to push for. And we have tried to make a feature film in the past. This is my third Comic-Con talking about a property. So it finally happened. Like I can't tell you, to be in Hall H saying it's real, it's like the greatest moment of my professional life. It has come out so much better than I ever dreamed. And my family's so proud and the company's so proud as well.
So we are going to go to some audience questions, so if you guys want to line up, but I just want to share a little behind the scenes earlier before the panel.
So Mark was in my first role in Kingsman: Secret Service. We sadly never met, and I was heartbroken because. Can I swear? Am I allowed to say? It's Luke fucking Skywalker. From a young age, as you are for so many little boys and girls the world over, you're a hero and a truly inspiring man, and just the nicest person. So it means a great deal.
All right.
That's the thing. We didn't work with any of these other actors, in Dark Crystal, and that's the preferred method. Back in the day, like when we did Batman, the whole cast was there, and you read it from page one in continuity to the end, like a radio play. Now they like to micromanage your performance, so you're recorded separately, which is kind of a shame because, like musicians, when you hear the other actors' rhythms, or they give you a line reading that you didn't expect, you adjust your reaction and your response accordingly. So, but it's more control for the producers. They can micromanage every last syllable, right? So, like Taryn was saying, that we came in and saw this finished, magnificent footage, and I was saying, who's playing that part? Who's playing? This cast is amazing. How come none of them? Where are they today? Where's Eddie Izzard?
Oh, yeah, the voice talent is incredible.
Come on. You can do better than
No.
Yeah, you have an incredible voice talent list on this.
I feel like we should read it out, but I don't have it in front of me. It's amazing.
No, but Helena Bonham Carter, Eddie Izzard,
we tricked. It's funny. We tricked them. We got one guy. He was the fan, so he said yes, immediately. So it's great. We got Taryn. Then we went to see Mark. I was like, we got Taryn. He's like, I'm in. And then you have like Mark. That's how you fool actors. That's how you trick actors. Get Taryn Edgerton. Everything.
Yeah. All right, let's go to some quick audience questions. Where are we going?
Yes.
I'm paralyzed with fear about non-disclosure agreements. I talk in my sleep, and I'm afraid of getting in trouble with Lucasfilm. So I don't know what to say. I just defer to
You'll see.
the director.
Do you like fizz gigs? We have some fixes. Yeah, you'll see. Yeah.
Thanks.
First off, Mark, I love you. I love Luke Skywalker. I love the Joker. Plus, my name
I
happens
love
to be...
being loved.
Plus, my name happens to be Luke, too.
You have a Luke 1 in your family or just Luke 2? I kid. No, what was your question?
All right, my question is, you've done a lot of great voiceovers in the past. I was wondering what your voice is going to sound like in this film. Like, would you impersonate it?
Well, you know, it's funny because part of me would love to do that, but I think there's an embargo on it until it comes out. And
Go ahead, do the voice.
well, did you see my tweet today? I did it in that tweet.
Your essence is required in Hall H at Comic-Con. Hall 3:30 p.m.
Now make him do his voice.
We will have to pay the rights.
Hey, that's a cool shirt, man.
My question is for Mark Hamill. Since you have acted in many different fantasy narratives, did you find it difficult deciding to bring your creative style to this narrative at this time in your career?
No, like I say, I had a background. I'd seen it when it originally had come out, and I loved how daring it was. You know, I think that's some of the resistance in the beginning were people thinking that it was going to be like any other Muppet film, happy-go-lucky and goofy and funny. And like Taryn was alluding to, it's dark and scary, but kids love being scared. I mean, Wizard of Oz, come on, that's when you're 4. You know, you see the witch, you want to pee your pants. They scare the heck out of you, and I think that's a good kind of thing in a way. I mean, I think you can go too far, but this finds the right balance, and I think kids are going to love the darkness as well. I know I did. But, you know, I mean, young people, that's my crowd. The young and the mentally young. One of us. One of us. One of us. All right, don't make it a rally. Is Dead to Me on Netflix? Because my son said, you got to watch this thing, and I loved it. Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini. I've done a lot of voiceover with her. She does a lot of voiceover, and I thought, it's so original. What a great idea. Now, I don't know what they're going to do for a second season. I heard it got picked up, and it seemed like a self-contained idea that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. But we'll see what happens, you know. Sequels, you know. They're tough.
I'm not getting re-employed by Netflix, am I? Stranger Things, yeah.
Such a liar. He has never seen Stranger Things. He has never seen Stranger Things. He's such a liar. You are.
Thanks for that, Louis. I haven't seen Stranger Things.
It's like you always have to admit these things. When I met Gwendolyn Christie, I said, I really feel bad because I haven't seen Game of Thrones, and now that you're up to episode 48, I'm afraid to start watching because I won't know what's going on. And she's, darling, I'm in the show and I have no idea what's going on. So she had a great sense of humor about it, but you're careful not to offend people in case you haven't really come up to speed with things. So there you are.
Okay, so unfortunately, I have to cut.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm here today to present the 2019 Comic-Con Icon Award. I'm not going to say who it's going to yet. This award is our highest honor. It's presented to an individual or group who's been instrumental in creating greater awareness of and appreciation for comics and related popular art forms. The biggest challenge I usually face is that there's never enough time to list all of the reasons why a recipient is chosen, and this couldn't be more true today. This year's recipient has a long and dynamic career in so many areas of popular art. I remember, this is very true, I remember being so moved watching his dramatic performance, supporting performance in one of his early television outings in Sarah T. Portrait of a Teenage Alcoholic. I was then surprised to discover that this actor was the same man who had comedy down pat in the Texas Wheelers. Early on, his career seemed to be a staple on television, but his talent belayed the actor, and this continues today. His chameleon-like ability to sometimes requires a double take to determine if the actor who played one favorite character is the same actor who played another. Mark Hamill is known to many for his starring roles in the Star Wars movies, his voice acting, most notably as the Joker, and for his directing and writing. His talent is so prodigious that I can't imagine there is anything he cannot do. He has been a tireless advocate for comic books, animation, movies, basically nearly every form of popular art that it almost seems that this award was made specifically for him. So on behalf of the Comic-Con Board of Directors, staff, and volunteers, it is my honor to award the 2019 Comic-Con Icon Award to Mark Hamill.
Listen, I told you how lucky I feel to be able to do all the things I loved as a kid and get paid for it. So this is just like, seems wildly excessive, but it is much appreciated. Thank you so much. And I have to tell you, actors get up and they say, oh, I need to share this with whoever their agent or whatever. But listen, guys, if it weren't for you, I certainly wouldn't be standing here. I started coming to these cons years before I met George. I remember I was at the con when they said, did you hear? There's going to be 5,000 people this year. And we're like, wow, how many are women? But so I thank you very, very much. And I just want you to remember, I am your buddy until the end. More than a buddy, I'm your best friend. I love you more than you will ever know. I will never let you go. Another version for Bear Fairy. Now I have something that's very, very special. They're going to ask you to put away your phones, but you won't mind when you find out what you get in exchange for that. If you all put away your phones, they're going to show you the full first episode. Now I warn you, it's on the honor system. You've got to put your phones away. You want to get risked. You don't want to risk being wrestled to the ground by a burly security guard, right? So put away your phones, enjoy the rest of the con, and thanks again so much for this. Thank you.